Thank you, Madam Minister. I would like, first and foremost, to say that all your words with respect to the hostages was very important for us and very moving, and that I think the policy of Germany, the attempts of Germany to help us in getting all the hostages back home as soon as possible has been outstanding, and it's very much appreciated on this side. You were one of the first foreign ministers, if not the first foreign minister, to visit the hostage headquarters, and it was very much appreciated. In terms of the different issues that you raised, and obviously the very complex challenges that we're going to face in Gaza, and also in reconstituting some sort of political horizon between Israelis and the Palestinians. It was interesting before that the ambassador talked about, if there is a Palestinian state, that it would be seen as maybe a prize to Hamas. But in a way, I think, the idea is that if there is no political horizon between Israel and the Palestinians, that would be a victory for Hamas. And that's why I think the words that you spoke about, the very complex reality, post-war reality, was so important. And one of the things I wanted to pick up on was how you see, given Israel and Germany's very close relationship, how you see Germany's contribution to the various dimensions of the day after, including the security aspects.
I think friendship can be measured not on the sunny days, but when the wind really blows into your face. And I mean, I'm a generation who had this great privilege in Germany to live all my life, being born in Western Germany, in a democracy, in freedom, in peace. But obviously, my grandparents' generation had a different time. And I could only live in peace and security, and this is why it was important for me to relate to it in my speech, because others were there to help my grandparents' generation to build a democratic state, to give us security guarantees back in time. I mean, we still have the allies in Germany for all my life, and even longer. And this is, for me, an obligation to stand with our friends when they need us. And obviously, this is a very difficult discussion. I've also the privilege to have one of my colleagues here from the German Bundestag, from our biggest opposition party. We discussed it intensively also in the German Bundestag. What does it mean to give security guarantees? Because I've been faced with discussions also in the European Union to say Israel just has to stop. And my answer was always, but we have to find a pathway that there's a chance that the IDF can withdraw. And if we do not find an answer how we can guarantee as an international community that the 7th of October never happens again, I cannot sign any resolution, and this is why Germany voted very often differently than other partners. And the discussions we had and the question you came back to today at the European Council for Foreign Ministers, we discussed, for example, as a first step, because obviously these are all small steps, about UBEM, the EU mission, which has been already in the past at the border crossing of Rafah towards Egypt. And how we can ensure that with European support to do training for border guards, but also to guarantee the security of the border, how could we give some security there that humanitarian goods can come in again and that the checking really works and Israel can rely on it. And then building on that, if we do have a humanitarian ceasefire, if we have a situation that we can work on this pathway together, the discussions also with Arab partners, international security guarantees before a reformed PA security structure could take over is, in my point of view, an international obligation.
Thank you. Let's move on, because you'll be going to visit Beirut, and you may know that in the last few days the anxiety in Israel has kind of almost reached fever pitch in terms of the possibility of a major escalation in the north. And beyond that, obviously, one of the key factors that we faced over the years, also in great cooperation with Germany and the other EU3 and the United States, was the issue of Iran. And earlier in the meeting today, we talked about how Iran has got to a higher level of enrichment than it ever has, probably has been dealing with weaponization, has been orchestrating this axis of terror in the region, which threatens not just Israel, but also our Arab neighbors, and also how they've colluded with Russia in terms of the Russian attack on Ukraine. So I was thinking, how do we, I mean, we have so many things that we have to face in a multi-front war, and the issue of Gaza and the whole way of getting the Palestinians and Israelis back to a pathway of peace is very critical, but I think also the issue of Iran and obviously Hezbollah are very key to our concerns at this point. And how do you see Germany playing a role in that?
Well, you discussed it here, but it's crystal clear that obviously, and the ambassador said it also beforehand on stage, in a situation where there was this normalization pathway, it was especially Iran who wanted to do everything to prevent that. And that the 7th of October couldn't have happened with support from others. So therefore, the question of partnership is so crucial. And it was this moment when there was a support from regional partners when Iran attacked Israel, to show that it's not Israel being isolated, but it's Iran. Mm-hmm. We see it also in the Red Sea, that obviously the attacks from the Houthis, again backed by another actor, are attacking the whole international order, almost every country in the world with regard of the trade. And speaking about this, singling it out, making clear who holds the responsibilities of crucial importance, again, at the European level, we passed different sanction systems with regard to the Houthis and the Red Sea, but also with regard to sanctions targeted directly to, for example, the Minister of Defense from Iran, and also within the EIO with regard to the nuclear enrichment program. Recently, we underlined in another resolution that we are aware of the escalation which is coming from there. And as you have outlined also the ties with regard to Iran, with regard to Russia, with regard to North Korea, obviously, and this is why I feel the obligation, we are all in this boat together as democracies facing a situation where systems would like to destroy our way of living, and this is why we have to stand against this threat united.
Absolutely. The Minister's willing to take a couple of questions from the audience, and please, if you could stand up and identify yourself, please.
Hi, Gil Tamari. I'm a fellow research member here at the Institute at the Reichman University, but I'm also known as a TV reporter for Israeli TV 13. Honorable Minister Baerbock, Germany is known for standing shoulder to shoulder with Israel for many years, but Germany's position on the ICC's warrants for Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Gallant has not been clearly articulated like other European countries. So my question to you is, will Germany comply with these warrants, or does your government intend to ignore them as the Israeli government expects? And regarding your coming trip to Beirut, what kind of diplomatic leverage can Germany bring to the table in order to prevent a full-scale war between Israel and Hezbollah?
Well, thank you for your two questions. I will start with the first one with the ICC. And I'm thankful for this debate here because this is a difference than speaking on a TV show also in Germany where you only have 30 seconds, but the world is so complicated and because it's not black and white to have a bit of time, and this is why I was relating to the question of democracies facing a world where dictatorships and other terrorist regimes want to destroy a liberal way of living. We believe in the international law. This is the best security for every democratic state, and this is why we believe in international order, the rule of law also internationally. Germany was one of the countries most engaged in the establishment of the ICC because for this international court it holds up the international order. And this is why I made very clear that we do respect international courts as we do respect in our own democracies our own courts. On a political dimension, I also underlined that the way this has been addressed, putting Hamas and an Israeli government in the same sentence was more than counterproductive, but we do not interfere into court cases. And I want to make also very clear, and this is why I said it in my speech, I believe in the strength of democracies, and I believe that democracies differ from terrorist regimes because if there are questions with regard to the breach of law, we do have our own courts. And I heard that there might be investigations also here in Israel on the question of the situation in Gaza. I know that there's also a debate within the IDF, and we do have the International Court, International Criminal Court with its regulation. If they are investigations in national systems, then the court plays after. And this is why we do not interfere, because we believe in this judicial systems, and we do believe in democracy in my country and the democracy in Israel.
But will you follow such warrants?
Well, currently, it is up to the different system parts of the International Criminal Court to review what has been proposed. And as I said, we do not interfere because it's a strength of democracies to have the division of powers. This is not bypassing. This is, in my belief, respecting what we are preaching our children every day in classrooms, that democracy is not cherry-picking, but democracy is built for difficult times. The second question with regard to Lebanon, and this is another thing which I'm the first female foreign minister, and maybe, and this is why I'm also so strong on having women at the table. Sometimes you might look different and things. For me, it's very important to come to a country, coming here, but also to going to Ukraine, speak with the people to understand, because sometimes these are the most important discussions you're having. I've been not only with the hostage families, I met also with the families which have to be resettled from the northern borders. We met them in the hotels. And understanding, again, having my two daughters in school, that in summer the new school year comes, and obviously thousands of families have to know whether they stay in the hotels, in the new schools, whether they can come back to their homes in northern Israel is a crucial question. And then going to Lebanon, also speaking there with people, asking the same question, it shows me again that there is the strong wish for not having another war. And this is why I'm going there again, speaking with different political actors, which is obviously in that country very difficult because there is no government which has the full power and control at the situation, but to make very clear that the danger of escalation by accident is high, and that therefore we have to need to strengthen UNIFIL. The efforts Hochstein is doing in that regard is very, very crucial to prevent that we have a second war front.
One more question, if anyone. It's very difficult. Yes, please. If you could get it. Could you wait till they give you a microphone? It'd be good to just hear the question.
I'm a bit excited, so I will read my question, and so my English will be better. Did you hear about the Day After the War Forum that is suggesting a very, I think, very important suggestion about calling the Hamas to surrender, and in addition to establish to promise the Palestinian people that the control over Gaza Strip will be transferred to a temporary government framework that will be established by the signatory countries. And what we mean signatory countries, it's the US, some of the Arab countries, and the European, some of the European countries that will take control over Gaza, maybe a bit like what happened after the Second World War in Germany, and then not including Israel, and then trying to bring us and make the region start new.
Well, thank you very much for your question, and I've heard, if I understood correctly, maybe not from exactly that group, but we do have this group consisting of the American foreign minister, the German, and also a couple of Arab foreign ministers, and we are discussing exactly that since months. How can we find a solution that Hamas surrenders? And this is what I want to underline again. It's Hamas who started this war. It's Hamas to end this war. And this is why we also discussed and challenged partners here in the region, but also at the UN, that they have to pressure on Hamas to lay down its weapons, free the hostages. Unfortunately, obviously, we have not come to that day. And under this ongoing attacks from Gaza, for example, this is why we did not support resolution which only focused on the situation of the IDF and ignored what Hamas is doing there. This is not a solution for peace. It's in Hamas' hand to stop and to end this war. But it's in all our hands together to find a pathway after we have a ceasefire break, how we can fill the security gap. And you mentioned a couple of things. I mentioned it also in my speech, that we need different elements for that to guarantee that not Hamas structures are regaining power. I mean, we have heard already and seen these reports as well, that Palestinian actors try to support humanitarian actors to provide food, and Hamas was shooting again in their knees because obviously Hamas is also fighting Palestinian people in Gaza. So security guarantees are crucial, but for these security guarantees we need the partners from the region. We have all learned our messages also with regard to Afghanistan and other situations, that it needs an international alliance providing these security guarantees. You mentioned, if I understood correctly, without Israel. Peace doesn't function, in my regard, a situation where you can say we ignore the partners. And this is again why I had heavy discussions, for example, with some of our partners here in the region, but also in the European Union, why I said I truly believe that the two-state solution is the only way to bring peace for everybody in here in the region. But I will not recognize Palestinians right now because it's part of the peace process. It needs Israel, and it needs also the Palestinians on the pathway. You cannot say we just ignore Israel or we just ignore the Palestinians. This is difficult, but I believe it's the only way how we can find out of this horrible situation.
Well, thank you. I think we've come to the end of the session, and I just want to thank you again for coming and attending and sharing your thoughts with us, and for being such a great friend of Israel. Thank you so much.